Hi there, we're back again. So we're going to go on to fixing this problem up to keep track of the zeros and the x's so we know which one we have to include. Let's go to our JavaScript again. So what we need, well, we'd need some kind of a variable, wouldn't we? And it's something that's not inside a particular function because we have to have a kind of a memory of it. So we'll leave it outside all of the functions. We could we could initialize a variable here, last clicked, or last selected, because if we're on a mobile it's not going to be clicked, is it? But anyway, it's a minor thing we've got clicked over here, so anyway. Last selected, we'll say it's a 0 because the first time we were saying that we were going to say that the first go is always going to be the x. So the last one, when we start off, the last one we'll have to establish in 0. Okay, so then when the cell is clicked, we can say, let's get rid of our console log, we don't need that anymore. Let's say that last clicked was, so the next one, so we can change the value of last selected. Last selected is, we'll do an if statement. If last selected was equal to 0, then what do we do? Cell inner HTML equals x. Okay, and then we'll have to update our last selected. Our last selected is now the x. And if the last selected wasn't a 0, it was an x, which is the else. Okay, it's only because it's only going to be last selected, or is always going to have a value. As we see, we're setting it to 0, so it's either going to be a 0 or a 1, the last selected. So if it was an x, then we'll have to put it to 0 in HTML equals the O and last selected equals 0. Let's see what happens now. Does that look good? We'll go back, reload, x0, x0. That's right. That's the idea, isn't it? Good. But what we're not doing now is we're not updating the text message, the status message. So let's just make that modification as well. We'll have to get that element, won't we? We'll have to get that element again. What was that called? The status message element. Okay, and as we did before, I think we did it earlier on. Document, did we have an ID so we can get it with an ID? Yes, we do. We've got status message as the ID, so we can say get element by ID, status message. Good, we've got our status message, so we can say, before we change the value of last selected, we want it to be the same as the previous one because we're just alternating 0 or x, aren't we? So status message element dot inner HTML equals next, what was it? Next turn will be, in this case, the same as the last selected. Okay, or we could just write it straight in. So this one, the next turn is going to be 0 in this case. Next turn, 0. We'll put in a capital letter. And in the other case, I'm just going to copy and paste it. Next turn is going to be 0. Let's see if it works how we expect it to. Save. Let's reload. Next turn. Okay, next turn is 0. Next turn is X. Very good. That's what we want. Good. Okay, that looks, but yeah, look, we can see now we can change the values. We can keep clicking as long as we can, as long as we want to, and it just keeps changing. That's not it, and you can see it being updated here. That's not what we want, is it? So in the next video, we're going to be doing this. So we want, what's the next thing? We want to make sure, before we do anything else, we want to make sure that if there is already a value set for the cell, for that cell in the table, then we don't want to do anything. Okay. Was maybe actually we could do that now just quickly because it's not such a big change. So if status message element cell, so we could say first thing we're going to try out, cell if cell inner HTML is not equal to, so the exclamation mark is going to be not equal to. Okay, that's how we write it. Is not equal to 0. That means it already has a value. Then we don't really want to do anything, do we? We want to get out of here. We don't want to make any changes. So we can just return. We don't have to return anything because we're not expecting. With this allows us just to get out of the function. Okay, it's a first test. And if there is, it's already been clicked, there's something already there. Now we click again. We know that our cell clicked function doesn't do anything. Okay, so with that, we've fixed one problem. What's next? The next thing, and now we can see our reset is working as well. The next thing would be to make sure that, to see if we can determine when the game has actually been won by somebody and who has won. So that will be, this time, that will be for the next video. Okay, so I'll see you there.